Hey friends, it's your friend Belle, and welcome back to another episode of In the Pursuit of Being Wild and Free. I'm excited to chit chat with you this week and kind of continue the theme a little bit from the last couple podcasts about how traveling can be the most rewarding thing that you could ever do. And yes, it can be scary when you are traveling solo and you're relying on yourself, but when you start to build that intuition and you start to build that trust, that's when the magic happens. And we don't need any more fear-mongering when it comes to traveling. And so I wanted to actually tell you some of my own personal stories that has happened to me on my travels. First, that one time I was in Seattle a few years ago. Again, if you follow me on wonderingbell.com, you probably know this story. But the whole premise of me starting Wondering Bell was to provide tips and tricks about traveling, and also it just stemmed from a breakup. And this was in 2020, right before the world decided to shut down. I went to Seattle over Valentine's Day. Funny enough, years later, I will launch Wondering Bell on Valentine's Day. But I wanted to get away. I was still sulking from my heartbreak and needed a quick little jaunt away. So woke up early thanks to jet lag, and I went and started to explore, and I got an Uber to take me to Cary Park. And I remember this gentleman. He was very reserved, very quiet, and very judgy. And he asked if I was living in Seattle or if I was visiting. And I said I was visiting. He goes, "Oh, do you have a boyfriend? Do you have friends?" And the moment he asked me about the boyfriend part, broke my heart even more than it was already broken. But I said no. And he just kind of gave me this look of concernment / disappointment / judgy. And I said, I just like to travel by myself. I like to explore. And he kind of just had this dismissive face. And it was already early in the morning. I'm jet lagged. I'm still on DC time. And it just kind of left a little bad taste in my mouth. But later on that afternoon, after exploring in the morning, I took another Uber drive to Discovery Park, which is about 5 miles or 20 to 25 minutes away from downtown Seattle. And I wanted to do some little hiking. Again, I was there for like maybe 2 days, 3 days tops. It's like a quick long weekend. And had the amazing time hiking, and I got an Uber back. And I was a little nervous getting an Uber back because, again, it's not in downtown Seattle. And I've read that it can take some time to get an Uber. Well, unbeknownst to me, this Uber driver was fucking awesome. I told him I was in town visiting. I'm a solo traveler. And he just lit up. And goes, "Oh my God, that's fantastic. That's amazing." Like, he was telling me how he was an extensive traveler with his daughter and how he hopes that when she grows up that she will do what I'm doing and that I'm awesome and that I'm out seeing the world, not being the scared person, but just talking to people and exploring. And he just went on and on and on. And I just, for those 30 minutes, I was in the Uber heading to an underground tour of Seattle. It just made me come back to myself. Despite the heartbreak, despite the judgy person early that morning, just despite of everything. And when he did drop me off, he fist pumped me and said, keep doing this, keep exploring, keep visiting, keep doing this, because like it is the best thing. And I agree, obviously, but that's the perspective about traveling. It's like you meet these people and you could have someone who just does not understand you, to someone who can see you like no one else in these random short amount of time that we spend. So that was really, really cool. And then on the flip side, so that one time I was in Budapest, a little bit different travel story than my Seattle. I typically do not do bar crawls. Not that I'm scared about going out and meeting people. It's just I'd rather do my own bar crawl and do my own thing. But in Budapest, this hostel I was staying at was really promoting it, and I decided, fuck it, let's do it. So last minute I signed up. There's 2 tour guides, and one was going to a different tour, and then this other one led us partly to the bar, the first bar stop, and then I became the leader of this group. Don't know if because I'm an American or because I was the oldest out of the whole group at that time, and there were really young Danish kids. I would call them kids because they were barely 20. And so I was leading them to the first place of the bar crawl, and I jokingly called them my kids, right? And so we were chit-chatting, kind of similar to Seattle in the sense of very judgy. Like, they were saying, like, aren't you scared you're going to be taken like that movie? You're traveling by yourself? Like, you're going to get kidnapped and all this stupid shit. And I'm like, dude, I've been traveling almost as long as you've been alive. And I'm like, no. And all kidding aside, they were a bit curious about solo traveling, but then also had that stereotypical, like, young boy mentality, and making sure they did not get hit by cars as we were trying to navigate the street and all this stuff. And once we finally got to the bar, I got my drink bracelet, and I just said, well, I think I made a mistake about this bar crawl. And the moment I said that, I actually ran into some other people that were in the hostel and came to befriend a few Aussies, I think one Brit. There's 2 other nationalities, and we were all just talking at that bar, and they all were jokingly saying, oh, look, there's your kids. I'm like, not my responsibility anymore. But we were just talking about traveling in general and having deep conversations. After that second bar, we went to a third bar, and then the night just progressed, and it was so much fun just talking about traveling and meeting the most random people. And then we ended up the night at like an underground Budapest nightclub. and the one side was like really grungy. They were playing Metallica, and then on the other side, they were playing like techno music, and lights were on and off, and dancing, and we were all just having fun. And I remember leaving that bar and going back to the hostel. And again, I felt safe. And actually, one of the guys left right after me, and he goes, "Hey, let's walk together." I'm like, "Fine," because we were both staying in the same hostel. And we grabbed something to eat and went back to the hostel. And those are the kind of stories that I want people to take away. And I have so many more of these stories, which I'm going to share throughout these different episodes here on In the Pursuit of Being in that present moment, taking that chance of taking a silly bar crawl, taking that chance of getting another Uber driver and just talking, and having people celebrate you and celebrate travel and celebrate the goodness, right? As my friend Bethany, who was on the podcast down below, even said that even in your own community, there are good people. And this whole fear mongering about this true crime and how everyone's trying to hurt you or steal from you or kill you or any of that stuff, it is this 24-hour news cycle. If you just take a moment and pause about what has happened on your travels. Now, granted, I have stories of my travels going to shit. Like that one time I was in Paris with this person, which that will be a whole podcast in itself. But I had a terrible time. I really thought I was not going to return back to Europe because of this person I traveled with. And I have been detained coming back to the United States, which is actually more of a funny story. I was kind of stuck in Quebec because I messed up on the timing of a bus and didn't have the money to really go back and overdraw my bank account. But yeah, there's stories about chaoticness of travel. But there's so many beautiful stories about the people you meet. And like I said earlier, that you can meet somebody who know you better than you know your own self, or give you that little piece that was broken back. A piece or a knowing or a little encouragement or a little bit more strength. And that's one of many beautiful things about travel. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast of two of my favorite stories. And like I said, I will be doing some more of these stories throughout. But yeah, just remember, travel does not need to be perfect. It surely is not. Travel should not be filled with all this fear. Be a little bit nervous. Be a little bit reserved. Be prepared. But do not withhold. Do not stop yourself because of fear. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and I will talk to you in a couple weeks from now. Have a good one.